app's growing, everybody needs to agree on a standard, and the colors are all messed up. So how do you go about fixing this? Well, I'm going to help you guys out. We're going to start with organizing your colors in your project. I'm going to take a look at some of the existing code that I've already made for a project that is actually in SwiftUI, and it's just a kind of like an experiment of just layout and whatnot. And so I'm going to show you guys some examples of how we're going to take our green color and put it into a button, and then how we're going to make it reusable so that we can share the code and everybody can benefit from it. We can spend less time resolving the same issues over and over again. And all we need to know is just what type of style or what kind of color is the button. So with that, let me show you. This is currently what we have. And the idea here wasn't necessarily to say like this is exactly GitHub, but this is kind of like GitHub Mobile. We're just really playing around with it and trying to figure out what the exact styling should be. So it's not exactly the right font. It's not exactly the right spacing, but we're starting to at least build up some sort of UI so that we can actually start enhancing this further. Now, we're so early into the project that going back and making reusable colors or making reusable spacing margins and whatnot, that's so much easier to do earlier in the project than it is way later. If you're working on a project that's way down the line, yeah, some things will just be like copy and paste repeats all over, and that's going to be frustrating to work with. So it's best to start off early when tackling this type of issue, and we're going to try our best to figure this out. So the concept is, this is what the web has for a button. We have like a new here, and then we also have some code button. We're not going to go into the functionality of the button, but we're at least going to point out some like key things about each of these buttons that's in common. Here's another green button for just like new issue. So this is kind of the button I want to start with, is just text. Just focus in on this one, and then we can grow and expand from there. One thing we're not going to see here, in at least right now, maybe if we have time, we'll do it different video or sometime later. The interaction with the button, the colors will change depending on the interaction. Since this is the web screenshots, there's actually difference in color on hover, and then there's a difference in color on press too. So on touch devices, you actually don't have that hover, but you do have that touch down event. So that's what we're going to be focused on. Now here, I'll just throw out a curveball. This is why we're making the reusable colors. We're going to get the same button. As you can see, it's like revert or restore branch, but totally different color set. It's not even like different shades of green. It's like there's blue, there's like an off-white, and then there's like a darker gray, and not even too dark either, right? It's different than the color gray for the separator here. So that's what we're going to tackle, and we're going to go into the code. Now, you might be familiar with this right now. I'm going to, let's take this away. There we go. We'll just have just the code here. So let's focus in on here, what it is we're doing and what comes up in what part of the code. And I think the first thing to look at here is the green. Yeah, so I have this thing called primary button style. That's this button style modifier. Okay, so that's like built in. Now, if we want to then add a style, I made an implementation of button style. Let's just go to this so you can see what this looks like really quick. So it just purely takes a color that's a background color, and then it takes a color that's a highlight color. So when dealing with iOS, remember it's not the hover, but it's the touchdown. That highlight color is the touchdown, so that's the idea. It gives us the configuration. We have some built-in padding and built-in other stuff here too. So this is actually pretty good button style. We could make this more concrete. It could be like the green button style, or it could be like here it says primary button style. So that's what we're dealing with here. And this primary button style, this is the merge pull request. So that's what we saw in our screenshot right over here. That's this part right there. So if we want to reuse this green is actually just the green. Let's see, where does it come from? If I did Command Control J, jumps to the definition, it's going to jump right into like a SwiftUI definition. And so this is not the actual code, but just a realized, like a purely generated for your viewing interface that you can see. So it is a public, it's a static, it's a let. So it's a constant. As soon as it's initialized, it's not going to change. And it's going to be that green always. So that's the built-in green that we just get from the operating system, or I guess from Swift UI. We want to customize that. So I had already gone in and made a colors file, and I started doing some of this stuff. So we have like a background blue, background secondary, tertiary, all that stuff. So this is an extension on color, very much like what we had a second ago with the green. So our goal is to do essentially the same thing. It's going to be an extension on color. Okay, so we can get that really quick, short dot notation, or we could do color dot and then our color. So this is how all those colors have been added to Swift UI. We're going to go ahead and do our own in the colors file. And it's tough because like we might want to call it green, but the operating system, or I guess the framework, Swift UI already has that, so we can't call it green. We have to give it our own name. So I don't know, I guess you got to talk with your team, and I sometimes like just throw like the word primary as if it is the primary thing, or if it's highlighted. So like primary being like the solid color, maybe no transparency. It's the one that's maybe not the brightest, but it's the most bold, and there's no alpha on it at all. So it's completely solid color, very much like the green that's there now. But now it's going to be our own green. So the naming is tough. My naming, I'm just going to go with it. I'm going to do actually here, let me right here, do a mark, and I'll say green. That way we know this is all for green. I'm going to do a let just like how the framework does it as well. And I'm actually going to name it green primary. It's going to be a color. Okay. Right now, we're just going to set it to the color that we currently have. And that's a very important step in refactoring. So static let green. And then instead of primary, we have the highlighted color. So like the touchdown color, highlighted. Okay, color. There we go. Now, I don't remember what that is, but again, I'll just throw in green here. That's it. So with that, we have green primary now, and we have green highlighted. So that's going to be the change here. I always start it with green because if I'm thinking from the developer, like my friends on my team or my teammates, coworkers, other people that I have never met using this code, they might think, oh, I need green first. So that's why I chose green first. That was my idea. If I know that there's like a primary something, highlighted something, and it's always just primary whatever and highlighted whatever, I could just start with those two. So you get to pick. I always think about the color first, and then I think, I guess it's the more specific thing on the left-hand side is the color, whereas there's going to be a lot of different primaries. See, like blue has a primary here. But I added in BG, and for the team, we just know that that is background, so BG, background. I could spell it all out. It's totally up to you and your team how you want to do that. So that's what I have for now. So highlighted, the color is going to be this here. So it's opacity of 0.6. So that's what we have. So how could we now refactor our code? Well, we're going to go everywhere where it's like a dot green and change it to green primary. That's the very first thing that we want to do. Now, I'm doing this only with one component, but you might want to search the entire project for this. So I usually just do a Command F, and then I do dot green. And there's been 2 matches. Those are the only 2. Great, easy refactor. So here I go, green, and I do primary, okay? And now here we'll take out, see this 0.6? I mean, that could be 0.7. If you want to change this between everything in the project, it's going to be a lot of work to do later. So let's just say, for right now, green highlighted. Awesome. Now let's search the rest of the project. Since there was only 2 here, I don't know how many we'll find elsewhere. So usually do Command Shift F, and now it puts in what I last pasted into that text area. Go ahead and search it. All right, so we have the green primary. Gives me a little bit of code snippet here. And then here's the colors. Oh, but then we have pull request view. has a dot green. Cool. Okay. So this is one way to go through. Search the text, replace it. This is a pretty straightforward way of refactoring for something like this. Also a very small project, easy to accomplish. Also, maybe a little tip, little trick. Something you could do too is, well, let's open up our preview again because SwiftUI has that canvas of a preview. So let's see what that looks like with this here. Okay, so there's our button, there's our green. Now let's say we wanted to see like everywhere where the green is used, like are we using that same green as like, I don't know, this color here? Have we replaced all the elements? So I'll just change this actually to red. And now, since it's such a contrast, I should be able to see in my preview, did anything turn red? No, I don't see anything that turned red, even though we're using primary green here. All right, so how do we get this to update? Is there a refresh? Don't show it, and then show it. Did it change? No, it didn't change. See, our button primary style, I don't know, I guess is not even used. That's strange. No, I still don't see red. Oh, there it is. Just turned red. All right, well, if you have that issue at home, just go ahead, compile it, then reopen the file. Should re-update the preview. Hope that gets better in the future. But anyways, that's there now. Cool. So now I have the highlighted color as well. So how do I do the highlight? I think we could do a preview here. Can we preview? Okay, cool. So now it should have like a button interaction. So if I click down, yeah, it turns that green. See, I'm clicking and holding down. It's also a little transparent too, so that's pretty sweet. Let go, and it goes back. There's a small animation in there. That's just how buttons are. Just gonna have to let that be for now. We're not so worried about that. Brand new project, just starting out small. But let me take away, now I can't even turn off that preview. Let me take it away, bring it back. Yeah, there we go. Stop that preview. Perfect. All right. Let me zoom out a little bit here. All right, so we have that as red, right? And that's how I know that like that's working, it's changing. So let me just change it back to the real color it's supposed to be, which is green. Okay, now let's go to this pull request status view. Let's see what this looks like. Yeah, so this is like this little icon that has the status. Foreground color, just color.green. Well, remember, so it's green primary. So there we go. There's our green there. And then, oh, here's the opacity. So look at this. This one's a little different. So this is a fill color for the rectangle. So now we need like a green fill, right? So let's go here. Static let green fill color. Okay. Color.green. Oh, yeah, got green. Opacity, I believe it was 0.2. So let's go back here and get that in. So green fill. There it is. Now we have only one place where we need to change the green fill. Now we have a stroke color. Okay, so, all right, let's just put one of those in. Static let green stroke. And that was green dot opacity 0.9, I believe. So let's do stroke. Oh wait. Like this. Yep, spelled green stroke wrong. There it is. It's put in just fine. So that's that. Now that's color. Got some of the green in there. How could we make sure that this is working properly? Well, because we're working with SwiftUI, let me close that there. Let me bring up another way of testing this out. So let's see. So we have a green but for the primary button style, right? What if we had text? And let's just put Ricky in here and dot color. Got color scheme. Got foreground color, which is the color I'm looking for. So I do dot green primary. And let's just see what that looks like. So it should be in here underneath the pull request. Yeah, there's the green primary. Let's do green stroke. So that changes to a green stroke now. So that's the idea. It's reusable everywhere. And we didn't necessarily start from like a really high component. We didn't say like this is always the button and they're always green. We give the choice back to the person using the framework to give us not only what type of style they want, but then what are the variables. So we know that it's going to be green, but not always. So now we got to go to our other type of style here. So there was a green. Now I'm going to do blue. Okay, so static let, and I'll do blue primary. Okay. Now you might be thinking to yourself, well, why don't I just take the background blue and make that the just blue primary? Well, that's something I would recommend doing, because what if background blues change one day, but the blue primary that we're going to be using for the text here is not changing? Well, then you're kind of SOL on like what your what you can actually change. So either way, I leave them separate. I don't want to tie them together. That's not what the requirements are saying. That background blues are also the same as like this blue primary that I'm about to use. So that's the blue. Now we also had this like white. So we're just going to do a white. And yeah, so the color here, it's like white primary. So I'm just going to say static let white primary color dot white. Okay, so we're going to try and recreate that other button that we have. So I'm going to also need the gray. So let's do gray. Static let gray fill. Or no, gray stroke, I think it is. Yeah, gray stroke. Okay, color dot gray. Gray. There we go. Cool. So if I was to make another button here, let's just do the same button we had before. Let's get rid of Ricky. Here we go. So we got merge pull request and merge pull request too. It's going to be these two down here. But now we're going to do a background color of the white background color. Okay, and the highlighted color, we haven't actually decided yet what that's going to be. But I want to start using some of like the stroke color and whatnot. So let's go back into here. And let's see. So here's the foreground color, right? So now I'll just say text color. Give that a color. So now that forces a new interface on the primary button style to tell me what the color is. And then I'm actually going to fill it in here. So it is up to the person using this API to put in colors that contrast for the background and that now text color. I guess I could have also called it foreground color if I wanted to, but it's primarily for the text that's there. So now I'm going to go here, text color, and I'll just do, I guess, blue primary. That's the idea. But I got to update every one of these. So this is where, like, as you go from the more primitive just color in general to using it and putting it into your API or into your different components that you make and the reusable classes and structs. This is why starting with this earlier in the project is easier. You don't have to go back and refactor some of these things later on. But I think this is a great, example of refactoring, but also like adding capability. So everywhere it used to be white, we're just going to do the white color there. So text color white. There we go. Should be good to go. Let's build. We have everything. We have one failure. Oh, yeah, look at that. It's missing in here. Okay, great. So let's just add it in real quick. White primary. Now we know that that's what it should have been from before. Oh, there we go. So resume. All right, cool. So should look the same, which it does. Now, let me get my other button here showing. Yeah, there it is, merge pull request. Yeah, so that merge pull request needs a stroke on it. So how do we get that? Well, let's go to our primary button style. We have the shape, rounded rectangle. And do we do a stroke on here? Stroke border. Okay, let's do a stroke border. It needs a color. And let's do color. Well, I guess we're gonna have to do it from up here, right? So let's do stroke color. So that's that border color. I guess we could call it border too, but I don't know. That's, I guess, again, up to you guys. The naming convention already built in here is stroke, so I'm just gonna keep it as stroke color. Oh, yeah, okay. All right, so I haven't necessarily totally figured it out, but I do want to upgrade the interfaces so I can kind of do both at the same time. Xcode's trying to tell me where I've missed some of these. So the stroke color here on the green, I don't even remember. It's like a darker green of some kind. So I'm gonna have to just go with green primary for now. We might want to update that later. But let's put the stroke color in here. So for this style though, it is that gray. So it'd be gray stroke. So that's what I added. And here's the error. Yeah, add that in. Thank you. And for this one, yeah, just, I guess there was no stroke before, so I just say color dot clear. Okay, here it goes. Building's all good. All right, so yeah, we're starting to get there. And we do have a slight issue. We're kind of working backwards on this, but adding this stroke here messed up what our visuals look like. So let me go back and rebuild. Yeah, all right, cool. So we do need to figure out a way to get our stroke in there and put it on the correct way. I wonder if there's like a stroke I could do here. No, yeah. So I don't necessarily remember how that is, but this is the idea, and this is like kind of where we get into issues where we want to upgrade interfaces later. But this is, I think, a good place to start. And after this, what I would probably do is go to like a color name, like blue primary here. Okay, I'm gonna leave it at blue here, but let's put in a green primary. So, oops, green primary, right? Now, where does this come from? It comes from your asset catalog. So we have one, and we can actually add in a color here. So just say new, at the plus at the bottom left, color, call it green primary. And what do we put in for the green primary? Well, we're gonna find that green. If I had the hexadecimal, put that in. If I had the exact floating point values, put that in. But what we're gonna do is steal the color. Boom, got it, okay. And for right now, that's also the dark appearance. I'm not gonna go into dark mode, light mode with you guys, at least not right now. Okay, so there it is. Now, we should have something that looks a little bit closer to what we had before. Yeah, there, it just changed. Very cool. I wish I could do like a replay on that so you can see what that's like. But yeah, so now that green, that primary green is used everywhere just like that. So yeah, so then, there's the primary green. We add another color and we do green highlighted, like so. I would take this green, copy it, and paste it in. So then, what was it? Opacity of 0.6. For this is 60. Okay. Now go ahead and throw a 60 in there as well. So there we go. We're starting to get it. Now I'm starting to see where the green was actually used and wasn't actually used, where maybe it's, not exactly what we want. And there might be some added opacity to the color after it's already been called as like the green primary. So with that, we might have to go back and refactor a couple of the other components to get those up to where we had them before. So the one that I'm seeing right now is this status. So let's open it up just real quick. Open up the status. Here it is. Oh yeah, look, it's still even the red one. Yeah, so there's the green stroke, the line width, okay, the green fill. So that's what we want. I guess we would have to go back and like adjust that one too and add that into our asset catalog as well. It'll be easier to update it. Here's the green here for the image, but the text has the foreground just dot green, so that's one we missed. So primary. There we go. So now they're going to be the same. Great, cool. Fixed it. All right. So that's all I have for you guys today. Just want to give you a taste of what it's like to not only refactor, but then where could you start? And I think one of those base things is the color. Another one would be typography and fonts. So that's another great place to start with some of the same things. And then also spacing. So we didn't get into this, but there's plenty of areas where we're just like typing in 4 or 2 or 8 or something like that. And if we want to reuse that spacing and use that terminology within our team, that should be a small spacing, a medium spacing, or you could even just call it like, an 8 spacing. I don't know. But the whole point is you agree on it with your team so that you guys can move forward and you guys can reuse some of the code that's already there. And you start building up these little tools, and it's like you're building your own house or your own room, or almost like a physical office where you say, this is the coffee maker and this is how you make coffee. That's what you're trying to do here with these reusable colors. So thanks for watching. If you have any questions, put them below. Otherwise, have a good one.